I guess Moses will probably be the first person, the correct person to really start this off with. How did you guys all get started in the music business? First of all, how many members of WAUSI was there, and take it from there?
Originally, I think there was 5, then went to 6 or 7. But the original kind of idea of what we started with was back in the middle 60s, 64, 65, 66. The opportunities for brothers to have higher education was not really an option for us because the civil rights movement was just kind of starting, and we were kind of in the middle of being a doo-wop singing group / band because we couldn't afford a band. So we kind of decided at one point, being a singing group, and then you play the drums, you play the bass, you play the guitar, and we actually went to the basement and started practicing. And this is pretty much what we produced. But it was we were kind of trial by fire, and we learned on the road and in the process how to get better at it. But it was in those days the desegregation of colleges did not come about till almost 68. So we had a working band in 66. So we kind of knew at the time that this was our way to change our lives and move from where we were.
That's interesting, man, because you start talking about the desegregation of the schools and stuff like that. I'll never forget, Kevin Tony of the Blackbirds had told me on my show that the Black Studies Department, even for back there, they're all out of Detroit, but for Howard University, they didn't put an emphasis on jazz or anything like that at Howard. It was all classical until Dr. Bird ended up going to Howard University. And in that first wave, it was Larry and Alphonse Mizell, it was Roberta Flack, and just different. I think Freddie Perrin was there, and Donald Byrd was there. And that was before any of the other guys that would be gigging with Donald Byrd would start. So I guess there was such a renaissance that was going on no matter where you were. But you don't think of the Bay Area in that kind of a light. I'm kind of glad you brought that to my attention, because that was something that I actually really didn't know.
We as kids, and I'm very blessed and very grateful for growing up in San Francisco, because we had such a rich divergence of musical input into our area. And actually, later on, I come to find out that San Francisco was actually considered to be the Harlem of the West. It was actually where the people, the Dexter Gordons and the Woody Shaws and the Buddy Riches and the Gene Krupas and so forth, they came to San Francisco, brought their bands, and were actually in our community. We were in our neighborhood, and the first club that we had a chance to play in, which was a steady job. I remember seeing Sammy Davis and J.J. Johnson and Earl Father Hines and guys like that kind of floating around, and we didn't know the difference. We were just kids, but this was an opportunity for us to get some experience, get some exposure, and I couldn't have traded that in a million years.
What was the beginning for you, Rick?
Well, actually, the beginning, I didn't really start as far as playing a musical instrument. That didn't hit me until high school, but it was introduced to me in junior high. I went to Everett Junior High. I wasn't playing an instrument at the time, but like Moses said, we were singing doo-wop at the Red Show Youth Center, which was Salvation Army was the greatest place in the world on McCoppin Street in San Francisco. Opened its doors to the black community. And the guy who ran it, Jack J. Wolf, he had a special talent, for bringing disadvantaged youth in, whether they had the money or not, and putting them on a pedestal. So in junior high school, Moses was playing saxophone. I thought that was a big deal. I couldn't play any instrument. And he used to tell me about his music lessons and stuff. I was still singing. When I went to Polytechnic High School, 10th grade, I was always a good student and stuff, but they had a variety show. And I'll never forget the name of the group, James and the Gold Tones. And there was a flute player who actually, let me think of his name, he started working with, he was a saxophone player for Leon Patillo.
Okay.
You remember who Leon was?
That was Jerry Martini.
Yeah, before.
Oh, no, from Leon. Oh, that.
I can't think of his name. It'll come to me before.
No, I was thinking of Sly Stone's group.
Right. Now, Sly Stone, that's why you thought of Sly, because Leon was there first.
Sure. Was that Leon's creation?
Yeah, Leon's creation. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and Leon's creation, Leon's VIPs,
Yeah, DeWitt, I can't think of the name.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, he walked out on stage at a Poly talent show playing flute. And right then I said, that's what I'm doing the rest of my life. I was always an excellent student in class, got B's, A's, because I didn't study a lot. Once I said I was going to become a flute player, my grades went to D's. I didn't even go, this is 11th grade. I said, that's what I'm doing the rest of my life. So I started taking flute lessons. And I don't know, it changed me. But I switched the vibes. At that time, we were working together, but I joined the Marine Corps. And that kind of split up our plans for a minute. But as soon as I got out of the Marine Corps, I was there 4 years. When I got out in 71, my brother was right there. He helped me get my ear pierced. Said we're going to start a band and call it WAUSI. I said, what does WAUSI mean?
Yeah.
He said, black man.
Yeah.
You know, what is it, Swahili?
Swahili for black folks.
So he got his house, that's the basement. None of us could really have been well schooled or could play that well. But the first few members, help me name them. James on bass.
Garrett.
James Garrett on bass.
Raymond Dial.
Raymond Dial on guitar. Myself on vibes. Yourself on horns and percussion.
Now, was Stephen Jones with you guys at that time? Or this was like...
Stephen came later.
Stephen came later, and there was Raymond.
The drummer at that time. Our first drummer was Jerry Rollins.
Yeah, Jerry Rollins
from Polytechnic.
But the second drummer was Raymond's good friend. What was his name?
Oh,
yeah, because he at Jimbo's.
Right.
When we played at Jimbo's.
Right.
Yeah.
That was before WAUSI.
Oh yeah, that was before WAUSI.
That was before I was in the military.
Yeah. Absolutely, that was absolutely.
And we settled on the drummer Frank Lemon.
Yeah.
As who became a definite permanent drummer. The first was Jerry Rollins. He was only there a few weeks. He was an old lady. I should let me say that. Some people
are easily influenced.
Great musicians, but other forces,
Right.
You know, the money and things.
Sure.
But anyway, we started at Real Shield Youth Center, started rehearsing there after Moses Garage. You came to Moses Garage with Jack Wolf. And I think to this day, I'm not a member of the Salvation Army, but how they helped us
Absolutely.
Grow. He gave us that whole Rachel Youth Center free. So we practiced 5 nights a week. And when we all started together, musically, we were all beginning musicians. I got a set of vibes sent to his house, and that's how I learned. James Garrett on the bass was really a beginning bass player. But we practiced so much within 2 months, man.
We had a good little repertoire.
And within a year, there's nothing like rehearsal.
Now, if I may ask, what preceded your move to Southern California?
There were some members of Bobby Hutcherson group. He said, yeah, Rickey Kelly, I heard you with WAUSI. You come on, put your vibes on stage. And I proudly put them up there because I thought I could play with these musicians. But they started a song. It was one of Herbie Hancock's songs with the Bill. What was that, his first album? With the percussionist?
Bill Summers. Bill Summers.
Yeah, that album, something simple as that.
Something like
I had my vibes on, and the first song they played, I started playing along with them. I mean, playing with a record is different.
Right.
The record sounds good no matter what you do. And it's one of the worst experiences of my life. I didn't know anything about chords, changes. I mean, I could hear, but these songs, you need to know a little bit about music theory. So I was shamed off the stage. The first song I sounded so terrible that I went and sat in the audience and looked at my vibe on stage the rest of the night while other musicians was playing. Mine sat empty. But after that gig, piano player, he said, look here, man, you look pretty serious. Now, Rickey, I know you've been playing around, but if you want to play jazz, you got to stop what you're doing and go to college for 5 years. I said, what? And he took me to his house. He showed me the thesaurus of melodic scales and patterns by Nicholas Sinimsky. He said, Train studied out of this book. You have to learn scales, chords. Now, I've been playing for years. Didn't know a C scale from a D flat scale. I could hear it by ear, but formally, you know, when you're playing by ear, you know, get that playing with jazz, you have to learn how to do these, you know, sight reading, years of studying. And as a jazz musician, when you're 90 years old and still playing, I mean, you're still in kindergarten. The possibilities of music's expanding are limitless. That's why I chose jazz. I mean, I went to jazz from that point. Because our commercial groups, they break up a lot. You know, someone has a certain problem. Here we practice a year or several months, and Joe's going out, I gotta look for another drummer. When you're playing jazz, you gotta stand on your own. You go to these different events and stuff. So what jazz gave to me, where I'd never studied more than an hour a day, I started studying like 8 hours a day, you know, every day. And even with that, it always gives you, you know, part of the formula. Like, so you're forever learning. But I moved from San Francisco to LA, and me and Moses were always in touch. But I jumped in LA City College, and there, you see everybody you see on TV goes to the college. Most of the cats in the studio, if they're not working, goes to the college. When I went to City College, I still wasn't studying. I was still only practicing an hour a day. But when I went to one of the practice rooms, there was a guy in the next room playing horn. His name was Arthur Wells. Dadisi Arthur Wells. He's with Nimbus Records. But at that time, I heard him practice. I walked over. I said, "Hey, man, wow, you're great. How long you been playing? 20 years?" He said, "Oh, no, I've only been playing 2 years." I said, "You crazy. Nobody can sound like that in 2 years." He said, "Yeah." He said, "The first month I started playing, the first 3 months, I was practicing 10 hours a day." I said, 10 hours a day? I never practiced more than an hour. I said, "How can anybody?" But I wanted that so bad, so I went home and started trying 10 hours. I started doing it right away. The first week, I said, 10 hours a day for 3 months. How about 3 years? How about 30? And brother, I started practicing 10 hours a day. Within a few months, I was able to compete, you know, but that was when I was, 1978, this is 2016. Only just WAUSI. Only just last year, after all these studies, you know, in City College, well, after a year of music theory, I could have went 4 years and got a degree, but you can go 4 years and not be able to put just stuff with. So I took out after a year, got a cabin in Santa Cruz, owned by Mr. Wolf, the Salvation Army, and left my music and stayed there. When I went back to LA, man, it was all there. When I got to LA, "Yeah, Rickey Kelly, I hear you practicing so much and all that." He said, "You got your own style, but why are you practicing so much?" I said, "Because I want to be bad. I want to be the baddest." He said, "Let me tell you something, Rickey. You know when you get so bad, you know what you will be?" I said, "What?" He said, "Just another bad." He said,